Yeah, I see that you begin.
Yay, we're here. Awesome. Well, welcome, Olga. It's so great to chat with you. Uh, I know we had some technical difficulties, but here we are. This is not the first time technology has failed us. Funny because we work in tech.
Unfortunately.
Yes, but it's great to chat with you. I'm so excited to share these insights. We've been working on this for a while with you now, just to pull down the right stuff, get the data together. It's been a process. But I love that because I think the insights are really, really valuable and the patience to pull them is amazing. So for everyone that's listening in with us, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here over at ViralMoment. ViralMoment is the tool that allows you to look inside of social video. We use an AI to actually watch it like a human would, so you can better understand what are some of these cultural metrics that are hidden inside of social video, so you can better benchmark where your brand shows up, where your competitors are, what are your audience doing, what are some new audiences you can tap into, etc. So we understand what's happening in social video and give you that data. And amazing people like Olga use us to kind of, well, tell you what's actually happening inside that data. So Olga, tell us a little bit about yourself before we hop into some of these insights.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today, and thank you, Elizabeth and Chelsea, to have me. So I'm a social listening consultant, and I help brands to unpack the consumer insights or brand metrics just to help them to grow. And I'm so happy that our presentation is happening now because I had the time to try the newest features from ViralMoment. It's so exciting. And we created a topic around BarTok. TikTok work as a bubble, and it's really important to find your own. So BarTok is quite interesting. As ViralMoment collected not only TikTok, we also have YouTube Shorts and Instagram videos. So totally for analysis, I had around 30,000 videos and 90 million views. So I will look through how I did it and just like to share what kind of insights is possible to create from just boring data. So let's start. And I think that Elizabeth could add here. I think that everyone just begin with some basic metrics yeah, thank you. Like performance metrics. And could you please, yeah, next slide. And as usual, we have some distributions. And usually I also look in additional cuts. So basically we have volume, we have views, but it's really useful to combine different one. For example, volumes and views, as you have seen now, views and likes, views and sharings, for example, or views and saves. And we can see it through a couple of next slides. So it's really great to look at big numbers. For example, views and comments. The next one, I suppose, views and shares. It depends on platform. We could also have, for example, comments and shares or save, which is really important for algorithm. And this one will help us to understand how we could save our user attention. And usually what we are looking at it is very straightforward. So some spikes, anomalies, patterns, anything that tell us why some videos take off and other don't. And the next one, I believe, is distribution between comments and share, for example, when we are talking about more available content for users, it's really important for us. But what do we see actually? And what is the next level for our analysis? Usually it's what is discussed through this viral or not viral topic, and what do we actually see. And usually we just use different types of instruments which could help us. For example, it could be hashtags or keywords. When I work with ViralMoment, it's Clue, and you can see what kind of topics Clue could create based on our search. When we are talking about BarTok, it's really interesting one. So how it works, I believe all of you know how it works, but still look at this slide, because Clue and Elizabeth, you could add something interesting about this algorithm maybe. As I know, it's trained specifically for video analytics, and it helps us to realize what is the main key narratives. And I believe that here is where the magic begins, because we just realize that bar talk, it's not only about food and drinks, it's just number 7 topic. It's more about, for example, British cinema or hockey and sports, or it's more about jazz and something like this. So we just try to notice things like what are the real occasions for people who are going to add a hashtag like BarTok, for example. What happened there? And when we go to a bar, is it about drinks? Is it about brands? Or it's more about spending time? It's more about emotions which connected to all of us. And this one is clearly visible on this data. And we can add more, we can look more closer for each topic. And the next slide just show us what are just performance, for example, or what kind of humor are there, and what are the reasons to meet, what are the reasons to create some groups, and what is the consumption situation for users, for people who'd like to share their bar experience. And here it's more about society, it's more about people, it's more about their behavior. And this reminds me a case we did around 10 years ago for one an Eastern Europe cuisine restaurant. They wanted 10 years ago, it was about Instagram. Try to try to remember how it looks like. They just wanted two things: more consumer engagement and more UGC content on Instagram. What we did for them, we just manually, I just like to underline that we just manually coded all items that we have seen on photos. And then we create map through views and likes. It's on the next slide. And it was really interesting because we just realized that one of the most frequent things that people have in restaurant is the mirror, bag, and restroom. So it was a photo in restroom, and it has the highest engagement, and it doesn't matter on the audience. Uh, so what I did for the present case, I did the same, but I have a good support because now it's not necessary to code it manually. I just use the ViralMoment for coding items. So how it works? So you have, or you know how contemporary video looks like, and the next slide is just the illustration how it could be. So usually we have some items and people as well on video. And what I did, I just collected all items that were coded by. Do you have any specific name for this algorithm, Elizabeth?
Or like our object detection model.
Okay.
We should call it something fancy, but we don't. It's just Clue can find objects in video. So object detection.
Okay. So I should say that it's really helpful because this kind of object detection, so it just work as the topic modeling. I mean, so it's quite fast, and it's possible for us to create different types of map, because what we could find there, we could find not only different types of items, but I believe that we can find some branded items as well. And it's really helpful if you'd like to compare, for example, your brand with competitors, for example, or you just like to realize which product is more valuable from user sides. So I created just similar map, but based on BarTok, and we can see that it's also not only about drinks, it's also about music as our topics illustrated. And I just like to highlight some items like piano and violin, for example. One is my favorite is lipstick. I hope it's red lipstick, but I'm not sure. I think that it doesn't matter, but maybe it's a good kind of accessoire which useful to add for brand or for bar, for example. So obviously you can see some typical items like cocktail shaker or whisker jug, so it's all understandable, but the differences between the engagements and the average audience per items, it's a really interesting thing for me, because it's also about topics. It's also about moments around not only people, but it's more about experience and their patterns, which are essential to share with their audience. And what does all this give brands? It doesn't matter what kind of brands here we could have. So I just like to make it as some kind of question, and I'm open for questions. So
I love this. I think it shows like the authenticity of the videos, right? Like the ones that have lipstick. for example, or a piano, aren't probably necessarily ones that like a brand, the Jack Daniels of the world, or, whoever would showcase in their own branded videos, because they probably don't think about like, oh, hey, we need like lipstick. But an authentic person attending the bar, talking about their experience at the bar, the drinks that they had, the cocktails that were made, etc., they're maybe doing this in the bathroom per your last slide, and then also like putting on the lipstick and like, oh, I'm getting like back ready, here's my cocktail that so and so made for me with, I don't know, I'm going to pick on Jack Daniels today, with Jack Daniels in it and whatever. And then it gives it more authenticity. So it's a good way for, I think this is a beautiful way to use object detection so that brands can learn how to make more authentic videos that make them feel like they're not branded content, and very much more part of that UGC conversation, so that people feel more affiliated and more connected to it. Would you agree?
Yes, yes, it's more about moments which a brand could create for their users. And it could be some signature item, some additional item for like an impulse for additional content creation. And the last slide, I think, so I love
So
such
what?
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, I love such kind of slides. So what? Yeah, so these insights help brands understand the real occasions behind behavior. So it's emotions, shared experience that matter more than product in user eyes. And this shift the focus from consumer moments to more uh, festive season, maybe for more human moments. And this kind of cultural patterns help brands just to shape engagement, I suppose, and brand can see how people explain identity in nightlife niche uh, bars or niche life spaces, as Clue named it. So I based on Clue. Yeah, which behaviors consistently attract interactions. Interactions between users, and just create one more way for UGC. And what kind of visual and emotional cues audience respond to? So what was it? It's definitely culturally structured, and what people actually try to share on their social, what they celebrate, what kind of events are most common, and here maybe some vibes and atmosphere through items will really essential for users. And maybe the last one, and it's one more time around elements about item detection. What kind of item drive visibility? Because for sure, different types of content can work with brand awareness, with visibility, with reliability, but data highlights which components increase the chance of going viral, and just try to create such kind of viral waves for users and for products, for new features, whatever. What type of specific music vibes or types could be created specifically uh, for campaign, for example, what kind of recognizable items could be used, could be created, could be branded, or something like this, because it's all really important, especially when we are talking about marketing with a number of limitations, and it's really hard to create something new. So just look at your users and use this kind of data uh, for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful too. And I think there's so much overlay. Like you talked about the topics that you see within Clue and how you can just pull those out now. And then the objects too. And as you start to overlay that, you can be like, okay, like where can my brand fit in authentically in these topics about jazz trios and the piano, and like where can my brand sit here and why is that important to us? And do we sit here? Is that really not our audience? Should we lean over more towards like, you know, the person that was doing karaoke and what that looks like. So I think it's important when you look into this data to definitely layer it. And the object type detection model is a fascinating underlying layer in creating that authenticity. I can talk today, like you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, authenticity is the only thing that is really valuable now. It's just the king. So yeah.
Yeah, I love this. Olga, thank you so much for your time and your insights into this. We'll share out this amazing deck with those listening to this call, and reach out to Olga. We'll drop her LinkedIn link in the description and comments as well, so everybody can get a hold of her. But she does some amazing work across social intelligence, clearly understanding marketing and digital strategy. So she'd be great to lean into if you have any questions on how to visualize your data or find your data, understand it. So Olga, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this with us today, and I can't wait to go deeper with you in the future.
Thank you, and I will be happy to answer any question if yeah, just write me or stay any comments. Yeah, see you there.